Okay, perhaps we can start with just a little bit of background on CloudBilling as a company, a bit of its history, any sort of key people that have been involved, and any milestones along the way.
Yeah, so I'll give let's say how we were born first, how we were founded. So we were founded by our owner, Rob, who was also the owner of a company called Yellowtail, which provided finance consultation services. And around I guess it was around 2012, Rob founded CloudBilling, and some of the IT staff and consultants moved over to CloudBilling. They saw that there was a challenge in the MSP world relating to billing. So this was even before the spike of cloud services. It was taking off around 2012, I would say. And they identified the opportunity that there was gaps in the market, and there wasn't many solutions that were tackling the complexities of being able to connect to multiple cloud services, to be able to be flexible with your billing. So long story short, CloudBilling was born from that, and it started to grow. So in the last, let's say, 8 years, they focus mainly on the Benelux region, so the Netherlands and Belgium mostly. And in the last year, a couple of international people joined, myself being one of them. I'm a sales manager at CloudBilling, so I've been leading the entry into the UK market for CloudBilling, effectively trying to build out our go-to-market. We do have a customer in the UK at the moment as well, and it's about getting our name out there. The complexities are the same in the UK as they are in the Benelux. The language is different, culture is slightly different, but cloud stays the same.
Okay, and in terms of the portfolio, I mean, you've explained there, obviously CloudBilling is sort of front and center, but alongside that, I think you sort of get into the business intelligence side of things. There's customer portals and managed services. So just, give us a flavor of the overall portfolio.
So I would start with, obviously our name is CloudBilling, so the foundation of our service, and generally the first thing we'll do for an MSP, who is our ICP, we're made for MSPs, is setting a foundation for the billing. So making sure the challenges and the complexities that an MSP have around billing are solved first before we start to use the data to be able to analyze trends, make decisions. Because often what I find is the MSP, it's actually a data problem more than a billing problem. So you need to solve that data problem first. As you probably know, Phil, data lives in a lot of different silos. MSPs work with, I think the average is over 20 plus suppliers or vendors that they're working with to provide an end service to their customer. And between their three, the IT operations finance team, they need to manage all of that data. They need to get it into one place, consolidate it in some way or form, provide an invoice. So effectively our first service is taking the complexity out of billing, adding automation to it. Once we've managed that issue, I mean, there's always problems evolving, so I'm not going to say it's fixed magically, but once we've set the foundation, we can then start to use the data in our system from all of these different sources to look into insights. So simple example could be comparing your historical billing data, spotting upselling opportunities from the data that comes into the system, and ensuring that the data that you have in the system is also accurate. Because if you're making business decisions, strategic decisions off data that's inaccurate, or financial figures that are inaccurate, it's obviously a waste of time, and you're not going to achieve what you want. So that's phase 2, let's say, of the insights. And you could argue phase 2, phase 3 could also be providing customer portals to the MSP's end customer. So a place where you, the MSP, your customer, can log in and they can basically see their billing overview, day to day, as opposed to just an invoice at the end of the month.
Okay, and you've outlined there the sort of data problem, but when MSPs are struggling with billing, they potentially don't identify as that. As you say, they're dealing with multiple potentially sort of suppliers to services, etc. So is there a typical reason that a customer knocks on your door? Is it where more than just they've got a problem with their billing? Are there some sort of common things that people are often struggling with that leads them to you?
Yes. So there's a lot of different types of MSPs, and they actually all have the same problem. So a lot of them are still doing everything manually, like I mentioned at the beginning of our chat. So that's the most obvious thing that you can actually see. It's tangible. Your team is doing everything manually, so it's taking a lot of time away from other tasks of the business. And then billing is seen as just that task that you need to do at the end of the month, when it's actually your main source of cash flow and also your direct interaction with your customer every month. So I'd say manual processes, um, inconsistencies with your invoices. So your customers opening up support tickets, asking questions. Why is my invoice different to my contracts? Why is it different to last month's invoice? What does this mean? And then the MSP will go back and they'll often find it a challenge to actually go back to drill into their data and find out the gaps. Where is this data coming from? Why is it like this? And especially if everything is being done manually. That's that's part of it. And then I would also say once an MSP hits a certain threshold from a revenue perspective, even though the smaller MSPs still have this challenge, I would say, let's say 6 to 800K plus of ARR is when the MSP really starts to struggle with maintaining billing without providing automation or also extending their teams, which is also a challenge to find the right people. So yeah, that's where I guess the automation piece also comes into it.
Yeah, and so I mean, again, you've already sort of outlined various things that you provide, but as a sort of general thing, how is it that you help? You've mentioned automation, reducing complexity, stuff like that. But what is it when you onboard somebody? How how will they go? Yeah, my problem's solved, or what will
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
notice that you're able to provide that makes their life a lot simpler than
Yes.
before?
Indeed. I'd first thing I would say is we're obviously a service. We provide a form of software, but that's not our only service. So our service is also the expertise. So if we're speaking to pretend you're the MSP and we're doing business together, we sit down together and because we're a bespoke system and we create it for your needs, we sit down with you and we find out how does your business operate? What's your business model? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to achieve it also? We also give our inputs into that, of course, because we have the expertise from the billing side, but it needs to work for the MSP because if it doesn't work for your business, it doesn't make sense. So we find out where the gaps are, sitting down through an implementation phase. We then start to make sure all of the data coming in is done in the right way. And throughout the partnership, I would call it more so than just even being a vendor, is we continuously work with you. So it's not you sign a contract and then we're off. We offer consulting advice as well. We want our clients to scale as well. So we're working with them. One of our UK clients actually, they did a webinar with us. I guess it was probably sometime last year, and they said that we were like an extension of their finance team. So we become part of their business in a way, as opposed to being just a vendor. So it's more than just software, if that makes sense, Phil.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, just for you mentioned extension of the finance team, did you ever find any resistance from the internal team that you're sort of taking away, or are they so grateful, as you say, because of all the problems they're experiencing there, they're just very pleased to see someone that's providing them with a solution that's going
Yeah,
to make their lives a lot easier.
that's a good one. I would say automation scares people just like AI does because we as humans perceive that to be a way that we will be replaced in some way or form. So naturally, you could imagine that someone can automate all of this, that it could be a problem. But it's not about replacing finance teams. It's about empowering finance teams so they can use their time, spend it in other areas of the business. I know for a fact the people that are spending 30 days or whatever it is, 4 weeks of a month living in Excel spreadsheets and trying to consolidate all of their billing data together. They don't want to do that all of the time. It's part of their job, and it ends up that they have to work overtime. So they need to work late nights. Sometimes they have to work weekends to make sure that the invoices are out on time. They can spend their time actually analyzing the data or providing value to other sides of the business. And they're relaxed is not the right word, but they have better peace of mind than they did previously when they, at least I see with our customers.
Yeah, and you
And
mentioned
also I think the IT as well, sorry, Phil, is just to mention the IT teams also end up spending a lot of time on billing because they're the ones that are say pulling data from a simple terms from different sources. Finance are asking them, IT it can be a mess. So it also improves just efficiency all around between the different departments and actually helps improve communication as well between them.
And in terms of the sort of value add, um, we mentioned business intelligence and sort of analytics, and I guess also just simple things in terms of identifying revenue leaks, cash flow. So I guess talk us through the range of sort of intelligence that you are able to provide folks, from the sort of everyday just spotting things to more strategic, planning.
Yeah, so it's from the BI point of view, it's analyzing your customer's behavior. Um, you're able to make data-driven decisions. So if you're to think about your strategy, starting with the automation that we spoke about, automation forces the MSP or business to standardize their offerings. So it's I'm a salesperson myself, but I'm pointing my finger here at salesmen and women at MSPs that create 15 different products for the same thing, and it makes it's a mess for finance, it's a mess for operations. So standardizing that helps. That's one example of standardization of creating a more efficient business for your MSP. Then integrating all of your sources together, then using our BI to enrich that data with your contract data, with your pricing and costs, and then ultimately consolidating all of that together in one place. So once you have that all set up, the foundation is there, you're able to drive your business decisions and use data to back it up as opposed to feeling.
I guess as well, another potential advantage is you're able to be sort of transparent to customers in terms of sharing information, and also, um, although you're clearly asking your customer for money, so they might be a bit depressed about that, but it's also actually an opportunity to interact with them when the billing goes out. So yeah, how can you help sort of facilitate the transparency angle, and also not necessarily, overt selling, but just working alongside the customer when, with the billing messaging, if you like.
Yeah. Your customer as an MSP is demanding more transparency, like you say, and they're getting a lot more intelligent in different services, and there's a lot of competition in the market. So you need, this isn't just billing, by the way, this could be for anything, but you need to be able to provide everything in the most transparent ways possible. For us, that's providing an invoice that can break down everything, or providing a customer portal where your customer can actually see the data. It will never fully eliminate customer questions because customers will always ask questions, but it's going to mitigate the risk. So that's one part. I think from the other, also for the customer, is making sure your invoice matches the services that you've delivered. Or if it hasn't, for example, sometimes an MSP needs to give more service away than what was in their contract, maybe due to errors on their side. And I believe it's always good to show that you're giving things away for free as well, as opposed, because your customer doesn't know that they got extra services. So also they can see those kind of things on invoices or through the portal. And I think the customer portals for your customer can also help them see their profit margins, which will help them work with you more, and then they'll start investing in the services that make sense for them. Because yeah, you want to be, the more transparent you are with your customer, the more they will grow.
Okay, and obviously you've got sort of yourselves as a company built up quite a big insight into the MSP market and the channel more generally. Are there any sort of trends or growth opportunities that you're seeing for MSPs? I don't know, subscription cloud-based services, for example, but just your thoughts as to what you bump into as areas where you think there's opportunity.
Yeah, I think, well, the number one at the moment is MSPs are providing a lot more cybersecurity services to their end customer. AI is becoming very prevalent, obviously. I read a statistic or it was at an event actually that I was at, where I believe it was 60% of MSPs, the main services that they provide was IT cloud services, and that's growing rapidly year over year over year over year. And it still hasn't, we're still at the tip of the iceberg. So I still see MSPs providing a lot more recurring revenue through cloud services, for example, as opposed to just managed services and professional services. So the pivot to that, I think most are on a SaaS subscription kind of model now as well, but that's still something that's very prevalent. And I think MSPs are really trying to get their heads around, how can I manage this? And again, it's not just from a billing perspective, it's also just from an operational point of view. How can I deliver my service to go above and beyond my competitors? And mergers and acquisitions, I guess, is also a big thing at the moment, particularly in the UK. You've probably seen that yourself as
Yeah,
well.
no, for sure. And just before we finish, you mentioned earlier in the conversation how you sort of offer a bespoke service, so you do sit down, but it'd just be good to understand a bit more about the partner program, from that onboarding process, the ongoing sort of support, and yeah, just how you work alongside an MSP.
Yeah, yeah. So depending on the MSP, some of our MSPs also use us for managed billing. So we're actually involved in their billing run. So we actually, what they find, I think, valuable outside of just the service is also our understanding of MSPs, and also what to do when something goes wrong, which is often the case with billing, unfortunately, that there's someone that you can reach out to that will help at least. And so it's a continuous relationship in that sense. I would say what we're starting to do now as well is move into more of our insights are getting bigger. Let's say we're moving out of just billing, and we're starting to bring in different kinds of data, ESG, finance, operational data into one place, where the MSP has an overview. I mentioned the silos, the data silos that they have at the moment. The idea is to take the data from those silos, put them all into one place, so the MSP has full visibility. On top of that, we do support services, of course, as well. So it really depends on the client, Phil, what they require. Some MSPs are more independent than others. But what we do with our product, I don't want to go into too much detail, maybe it's too technical now, but with our automation, we apply pricing rules to invoices. So we can, let's say, take in multi-cloud, hybrid cloud situations where we bring that data in, but we can also, on top of that, add anything. So you could use CloudBilling to sell fruit and vegetables, just to use an example. So you could put managed services on top of it. You can bill multi-tenant, and so on and so forth. So it's billing is constantly evolving as well. So we do use our expertise to help the client as well in that perspective, outside of the product.
And I mean, that's quite a good segue. Billing's constantly evolving. I was just going to finish off by asking you the cloud billing roadmap. You may have some things that you can't share for obvious reasons, but just thoughts as to what more you will be bringing to the portfolio over time, and yeah, improving, adding to what is already you're providing to MSPs.
Yeah, the big thing is the beyond billing piece, and I probably will speak about that in London next month as well. We have a couple of customers that have gone live with a new service called Samurai, where they're bringing it's on that data piece that I just mentioned, where they're bringing all of that data into one place, and they can use those insights for for other parts of the business, not just billing. That's the big one on the roadmap at the moment, I would say. So definitely look out for that one in the coming months. We haven't gone public with it yet in terms of marketing. It's just for our internal customers, but I would expect soon you will hear more from us in that side, because it's something that isn't really being done, I would say, from what I've seen. It's quite a new concept.
Yeah,
That's all I can share,
no,
unfortunately,
that's fair
about it.
enough.
But
I understand you don't want to give away secrets, but that's fascinating anyway. So it's been great to chat, and obviously you're at our event next month, so
yes,
see you there. But for at least for now, thanks for sharing the cloud billing story and some insights into the MSP sort of ecosystem. So Ben, appreciate your time. Thank you.
yeah, much appreciated, Phil. Thanks for having me. Cheers.